Welcome to an overview of the California State University Dominguez Hills Foundation Code of Conduct. This code will guide the conduct of staff to enhance the Foundation's performance in assisting the university in the attainment of its educational mission. This code applies to all staff, including board members, officers, representatives, committees, and affiliates of the Foundation, as well as employees, whether full-time, part-time, or casual. Let's start with RESPECT. Respect for the law. You must observe all applicable federal, state, and local laws and conduct yourself accordingly. Respect for persons. The Foundation seeks to create an environment where all people are treated equitably and with respect, where staff are encouraged and their achievements given due recognition. Respect for persons extends to the manner in which you deal with one another, with employees of the university, with students, as well as with members of the community. The Foundation regards a staff member's interaction with others as a vital part of the duties of their position. A collegial working environment is encouraged. You are expected to be responsive, courteous, and prompt in dealing with others, whether with other staff, employees of the university, students, or members of the community. Now let's take a look at the obligations of supervising other staff. Supervising other staff members brings a special responsibility to treat your staff members fairly and to afford them equality of opportunity. Try to maintain open and honest communication with them and ensure all staff members understand the performance standards expected of them. Evaluations of staff performance must be undertaken objectively and without bias. When you need to make a decision or resolve a grievance, the principles of procedural fairness must be applied. The persons affected must have the opportunity to respond to allegations and to have a decision made without bias. Your decisions must be based on considerations relevant to the matter at hand. Your decisions may be accepted more readily if reasons are given. What behaviors are unacceptable in the Code of Conduct? Discrimination. Staff must treat all people equitably regardless of gender, sexual orientation, race, disability, medical condition, cultural background, religion, marital status, age, or political conviction. Harassment. Staff must not engage in any conduct which may be perceived as sexual, racial, or gender-based harassment. Staff must not behave towards other persons in a manner which may be reasonably perceived as intimidating, overbearing, or unreasonable. Conflicts of interest. You must avoid conflicts between your private interests and your staff responsibilities. Refrain from participating in making decisions affecting your financial interests or those of someone close to you, such as your spouse, relative, or close personal friends. With regard to financial interests, the following transactions are a few examples of conflicts of interest and are not allowed. The full policy must be reviewed for the complete understanding of the Conflicts of Interest section. Specific instances. A transaction is defined as a business arrangement whereby a party thereto provides property or services to the other in exchange for compensation. The above-referenced definition of the word transaction does not include gift agreements between a donor and the Foundation. With specific regard to financial interests, the following transactions are absolute conflicts of interests and are hereby prescribed. A transaction between the Foundation and a member of any governing board or committee thereof. A transaction between the Foundation and a partnership or unincorporated association of which any member of the governing board or committee of the Foundation is a partner, or of which he or she is the owner or holder, either directly or indirectly, of a proprietorship interest. A transaction between the Foundation and a corporation in which any member of a governing board or committee of the Foundation is the owner or holder, directly or indirectly, of 5% or more of the outstanding common stock. A transaction in which a member of the governing board or committee of the Foundation is financially interested, other than as specified in subsections 8A1-3 above, and either the member fails to first disclose such interest to the governing board or committee at a public meeting of the board or committee, or the member influences or attempts to influence another member or members of the board or committee into entering into the transaction. Staff who are members of the governing board or a committee have an absolute duty to disclose actual or potential conflicts of interest to the governing board or committee and must disclose at least annually in writing any interests that could give rise to a potential conflict of interest. What do you do if someone offers you an expensive first edition or a trip to Hawaii? Let's talk about receipt of gifts. You must not ask for or encourage any form of gifts or benefits in connection with your position. This can be perceived as an inducement to act in a particular way, creating a real or apparent conflict of interest. However, you may, of course, give or accept an occasional gift of nominal value, which is offered in accordance with social or cultural practice. So you can keep that birthday bobblehead hula doll, but that trip to Hawaii is on your own dime. What about external activities and public comment? You're free to engage in political, professional, and charitable activities, provided it is not a conflict of interest or impedes the performance of your duties. Public comment as a private citizen is certainly permitted, but every effort must be made to ensure that the opinions expressed are not represented as an official view of the Foundation. If you comment publicly in connection with party political or interest group activities, it must be made clear that such comment is made on behalf of the political party or association you represent and not in your capacity as staff of the Foundation. Let's look at the many ways your conduct supports the work of the Foundation. Diligence. The Foundation aims to achieve the highest standards in the conduct of its business, which ultimately advances the educational interests of the university. You contribute to the achievement of this aim when you carry out your duties honestly and to the best of your ability. Work in a professional, responsible, impartial, and conscientious manner, and be accountable for your official conduct and decisions. You are encouraged to maintain and enhance your skills and expertise and keep up to date in your particular field or area of work. High standards of performance are expected. Please exercise due care in undertaking your activities, particularly where others rely on advice or information offered. Safety first. You have a duty to take reasonable care to avoid causing harm to anyone. Staff must actively promote safe working practices and environments for everyone using Foundation facilities. You must ensure that the personal use of alcohol or other drugs does not affect work performance or the safety and well-being of others. Practice economy and efficiency. We need you to ensure that the Foundation's resources are managed effectively, so material, financial, and computerized resources should only be used for Foundation purposes. Although you may occasionally need to use Foundation resources for personal reasons, such as a personal phone call, keep it to a minimum. Equipment, materials, and facilities must be treated with appropriate care and secured against theft and misuse. Appropriate measures to ensure proper internal control of Foundation assets must be observed at all times. Do not turn a blind eye. Fraud, corrupt conduct, or malfeasance is contrary to law and is to the detriment of the Foundation, as well as ultimately to the university. You are therefore required to report genuinely suspected or known fraud or corrupt conduct. How do I do that, and what about other violations of the code? Suspected violations of this code should be reported to the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer of the Foundation, or to the Foundation Director of Administrative Operations. Any staff making such a report shall be deemed to be a whistleblower. Staff making such good faith reports of suspected fiscal misconduct, violations of law, or other violations of this code shall be made to feel safe from retaliation and shall be protected from retaliatory action. The Foundation will use its best efforts to conduct a thorough investigation of actual or suspected violations of the code that are reported by whistleblowers. To understand the investigative process, please read the full Code of Conduct. We hope this overview was helpful. We want to emphasize the Code of Conduct is extremely important, and we encourage you to read the full policy at www.csudhfoundation.org.